Alright everyone, it's time for the Clanker opinion on the Libertysafes issue. It's a company that produces gun safes and other like home safes and stuff like that. Higher quality, like high-end ones. Some of them run into the many thousands of dollars. I think the most expensive model there starts at about $7,000. So these aren't the sort of safes for the casual FUD who owns Grandpappy's shotgun and a couple of revolvers and an old bolt action from the 1910s. This is more for people who have like an expansive, rather expensive collection. So they got something in there that's, worth more than the safe. Kind of makes sense to safeguard it as much as possible. Anyway, link in the description, archived of course. Nathan Hughes was at J6. He's facing several charges as a result of showing up there that day, like many other people are. And the FBI got a warrant for his property. And they searched his property and presumptively went through literally everything, scattering paperwork and pens and everything everywhere and turning the house upside down. Yeah, they're not exactly known for respecting people's property rights or basic dignity during raids. The assumption is, of course, you're a terrible evildoer, and so it doesn't matter if they inconvenience you, even if you eventually get found not guilty. Also, there's civil asset forfeiture. Oh, yeah, you got a stack of Benji Greens right here. We think that you're going to use it for crime or it's drug money, so we'll be taking this. It'll disappear mostly from lockup over the next month as we pay out bonuses. Oh, I mean, we accidentally destroy the evidence. And stuff like that happens, unfortunately, with fair regularity. Although it's worse among Metro than it would be the FBI, admittedly. Anyway, they got a warrant for his home pertinent to the charges that are pending against him. And they also called up Libertysafes, the actual company, in order to request the passcode to his safe. Now, I'm wondering how that happened. Wouldn't you be able to change the passcode? Unless this has some sort of like mobile connectivity to a server somewhere that can automatically lock people out, like it's biometric or something. I suppose that's possible. This is why I prefer proprietary ownership of things. This is why, for example, all of my work files and shit are backed up locally in removable storage, like USB, disk, and so forth. That's because we're entering an era in which firms that are technological in nature, firms that work with anything that's digital, these days your refrigerator can literally be hooked up to the internet, so yeah. By the way, there's a great idea for entertainment. Let people pay money to remotely control your refrigerator or something like that and make it open its door on its own and the ice starts pouring out. It'd be funny. You'd probably have to have a special room for that, lest your entire house get destroyed by ice cubes, but it'd be funny. As we move into that era, though, people need to be far more conscientious about the privacy aspect of digitization. You've got some companies that are trying to move towards full end-to-end encryption where even they can't give a code for your private messages or something like that, although I would point out that the FBI could always hold you and detain you for an indeterminate period if you refuse to log in and let them read your DMs, so it's kind of pointless. It's more plausible deniability on the company's side than anything else. If you have a safe that is highly digitized, as opposed to an older, like a manual model, where you've got a key, and they call up the company and they say, what's the passcode? If there's any methodology by which the company would know your passcode, while they don't have to honor a request. Apparently this was a request from the FBI. They called them up and said, hey, we're serving a warrant. We need the code to this safe because we think there might be evidence of some felony charges that are pending against him. Let me analyze this from two perspectives. First, the ethical, moral, civically appropriate perspective, and secondly, the completely pragmatic perspective. On the first token, should the company provide the passcode unless it is legally compelled to do so through court proceedings? Absolutely not. It should not comply, because the warrant had to do with the property. It doesn't have to do with Libertysafes as a company. The fact that they've sold a product, this would be like somebody's property gets raided and they've got a special lock on their car, some high-end model. And they call up the car manufacturer and say, you need to allow us into this car because we're currently charging this person with a crime. The car manufacturer has sold the vehicle to that individual. Probably own it outright. Maybe they paid it off in cash or something. Should the manufacturer therefore give the code? No. They're violating the rights of the person who has purchased that product. And kitty. Anyway, she's abusing her sister as usual. They shouldn't on an ethical level. On a civic level, it's absolutely disgusting that such a call was even made by the FBI. You do realize that they do have the capability of cracking the safe physically anyway. Might harm some of the contents inside. I am sure that they have the technology to hack that code anyway. It's basically they just wanted to expedite it by requesting to the company. Now, that's the ethical side and the civic side. The call shouldn't have been made in the first place. The J6 thing is way overblown. Most of these charges are horseshit anyway. Some of these people will beat the charges, by the way. Nathan Hughes could end up being one of them. On the pragmatic side, though, based on the legal persecution that we're seeing right now, before everyone says hashtag boycott Libertysafes, given the massive degree of persecution we see by the deep state, the FBI is a big part of that right now, the judiciary, the members of Congress, tech firms, etc., banks, debanking people. Given the nature of that, let's say I own a business and I produce safes for somebody. The FBI calls me up and requests that I give them the code. What am I thinking in my head? Well, if I don't, aren't they going to make a legal argument that I'm now adjacent to the J6 riots? I mean, they're doing things that are crazier than that in their current filings anyway. Therefore, dragging my company through court, wasting potentially millions of dollars in lawfare. I may win in the end, but I'm not going to recoup that money. It's the FBI. They have limitless money. The government that funds them can literally make it out of thin air and just print more. In legal systems like that in the United States, the defendant is, in a case is always you're supposed to be presumed innocent until found guilty. And that's not really how it works. Talk to a lawyer if you don't believe me. Hopefully you never have to. I get to talk to plenty of them because, I'm a content creator with a six-figure audience. That's not really the way that the system works. And if the government chooses to prosecute you, it's always going to be lopsided. Because they make the rules, they're capable of bending them quite a bit. So Libertysafes in this situation basically weighed the scenario. We've got one scenario in which inevitably people are going to find out, and a lot of these are hardcore gun owners, so they probably are not fans of the Biden admin. They're probably not fans of the FBI. We either provide the code, we take a hit to our sales. They're facing a boycott by a number of high-profile individuals right now. They'll lose millions. Or we can lose millions and potentially end up in jail because we don't give them the code. True, it's just a request. The next thing after the FBI is denied the request is all of a sudden, all of your company's finances are being audited. Every last line. Let's hope that you kept the receipts. Every customer is being queried. The whole goddamn list. The FBI wants to know who's buying your safes because, there might be a problem here. All of a sudden, Congress inexplicably starts trying to pass a law that that regulates digitally controlled safes or something like that. This is the way that sick system works. So if I'm Libertysafes, I'm screwed either way. But on one hand, I'm screwed possibly out of existence and into prison, whereas in the other case, I've pissed off some customers. From a strictly pragmatic backdrop, I would have said no to the FBI in this case. I would have been one of the people willing to do that, but that's probably why I'm not a billionaire right now. It would be poor business sense from a pure pragmatic perspective. You don't want to fuck with the FBI when clearly right now they've become a rogue agency with virtually inexhaustible resources that has become hell-bent on influencing politics and persecuting people. They ignore child trafficking while they go after the J6 defendants for things that in some cases boil down to little more than loitering or simple trespass while being completely unarmed, disorganized, taking a selfie and leaving 5 minutes later. They're still being held in some cases under effectively torturous conditions that the UN probably would find disgusting if they ever bothered to look into the U.S. jail system for misdemeanor charges in some cases. Again, a lot of these people get plea deals, or in the end when they finally get their trial, they get time served because they've been there so long. This could be one of those individuals. Only one of the charges he's facing is a felony, plus a couple of lesser included misdemeanors. We're not sure there could be a plea deal involved or something. We're not even sure they're going to find anything particularly interesting in the safe. They raid your house, they find literally nothing. Well, that's that. Now you have to reorganize your whole house. Half your furniture is destroyed. Your door's been kicked in, and now your safe has been, I guess, taken along with all of your firearms. You're not getting those back. So hopefully that safe didn't have too much good dosh in it. They'll probably just take a steamroller and run it over the guns. They love to do stuff like that to demoralize the public. So as far as this goes, they should not have opened the safe for the FBI. They were not legally required to do so. They were not listed on the warrant. There was a request that was made for them to do so. But I can understand the mentality of the business owners who probably freaked out when the FBI called them and said, oh shit, it's J6 related? I don't want none of that right now. Look at what's happening to these other poor suckers. That's about all. Peace out.